Boo, acolytes. Hasan Piker is effing cooked. I didn't make an update for a long time about this because, well, quite frankly, we see enough of this stuff, but Rev did one and you know I love Rev, so let's just see what he has to say about Hasanabe and what Hasanabe actually did in the meantime, so...
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So this time, I think Hasan Piker might actually be cooked. Now, I'm sure everyone watching this video is aware of his rhetoric that he shares during his Twitch streams that have been heavily criticized, and also how people have criticized Twitch for not doing anything to police or moderate his rhetoric that some believe is influencing his viewers. And this time, well, we have entered...
That's not a belief. It's a fact.
The finding out phase. Hasan and Twitch have been effing around for many years now, but now we're seeing the finding out stage, because yesterday, on a national broadcast, the head of the Anti-Defamation League specifically named Hasan Piker and talked about his rhetoric and tried to link it to a fatal shooting that took the lives of two members of Israel's embassy in Washington, D.C. This is the stage where things are getting very out of hand. This is now reaching national levels and reaching parties that are going to be very aggressively going after people like Hasan Piker and Twitch. Now, before we get into the clips involving...
Good, by the way. I am not a free speech purist, by the way. But the amount of hate-mongering, threats, and effing supporting terroristic organizations... At some point, it just has to stop. At some point, it's just too much.
Let's talk about the last 2 weeks or so for Hasan. It's not been very good. It's been filled with a lot of controversy, beginning with his trip back home from France, where he arrived at the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, where he was briefly detained. He claims that he was briefly detained and asked a lot of questions about his political views and some of his content and other content creators, where he says he was singled out because of his anti-Trump
and
coverage.
By the way,
he tries
already
to say that this was a political detainment and he was being basically persecuted because of his political beliefs and his criticism of the administration. However, in an NBC article, a Homeland Security official called his account of the events nothing but lying for likes, and then further claimed that none of this process had anything to do with his political beliefs or any sort of an agenda. They basically called him a liar. And on top of that, other people have been poking at the timeline of events that he shared. Basically, they're saying there's a lot of inconsistencies, and it sounds like the amount of time he claims he spent in detainment doesn't line up with some of the posts he made involving it. But then again, you know, do we have to believe Hasan Piker it didn't happen Piker? We need some forensic evidence to believe anything he's going to say. That's the standard he uses for other people.
Yeah.
But also, he joined in, oddly enough, on the discourse involving the supposed right-wing problem in the VTubing scene, saying this is just how Twitter and increasingly most other online spaces feel nowadays. People are no longer able to feel shame and wear their bigotry and stupidity like a badge of honor. And then right after that, around that time, he made a comment.
I mean, the irony in it is just, you can touch the irony. You can literally cut it and eat it. It's so thick.
Comment about India, calling it a rogue terrorist state, which obviously a lot of people in India didn't really appreciate. And around that time, he also got some flack for this thumbnail that was a part of a YouTube upload of some of the stream highlights, where he's soy-facing over the prostate cancer diagnosis recently revealed for Joe Biden. And apparently this was his editor who made the thumbnail, which I believe. But also, he is literally soy-facing over this diagnosis.
By the way, I just want to say, before people think something different, even though I do not agree and think that Biden or the Biden administration did a lot of wrong things, even now, I do not wish anyone to die because of cancer or a sickness like this. Now, do I feel bad for Biden? No, I don't. Simple as that. But I won't say that I think that it's a good thing, because I don't think so. The dying because of a sickness is a bad thing. I do not wish anyone this. Biden should, in my opinion, stand for his crimes. But well, not a fan.
He's been celebrating on multiple social media platforms, so I don't really think this is that much of a misrepresentation of his reaction, but it was just another thing that people were criticizing him for. And now the big thing that we're talking about today. So in case you didn't know, about a day ago, 2 staff members of Israel's embassy were fatally shot in Washington, D.C. They were sought out by an individual who found them at a Jewish museum, and he shot and killed them. And when he was being arrested, he shouted, "Free Palestine." Now, not surprisingly, in Hasan's own community on his subreddit, people were having very interesting reactions to this killing. This person saying, "I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'll be in big trouble," with a lot of supports. Here's another one saying, "The most monotone voice imaginable. Oh no, how horrible." This person saying stuff like, "This was bound to start happening. You can only do what Israel does for so long with no repercussions." And this person saying, "Redacted," referring to their own opinion. And this person saying, "Reminder, no Fed posting chat," with over 400 likes because they're trying to say, "Don't get us in trouble. We know how you feel about this, but just don't say it too obviously." Well, things would take a turn. Around that time, the head of the Anti-Defamation League would go on to CNN, of all places, talk about this killing at this Jewish museum and directly name Hasan Piker and refer to his rhetoric that is causing a lot of issues, and he seemingly tries to attach it to this recent killing.
But all of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer, Hasan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state. Like, extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed. This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
No matter what, I think the most outrageous thing going on with this situation is the fact that he referred to Hasan Piker as a gamer, which is funny on the one hand, like I get the jokes, but on the other hand, I'll talk about this in a few minutes, but I think the labeling of Hasan Piker as a gamer is much more nefarious than people are really appreciating right now. But like I said, we'll get into that in a second.
I think the same, because it basically gives an open door for comparing gamers to terrorist support, and nobody wants that. So I don't understand why he didn't just speak Tacheles, but okay. And he did in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes that you could have done here. Now they have to follow up with the words, because if they do not crack Hasan Piker right now after this, people will say he is invincible, and this will lead to way more and bigger problems than there already are.
Let me establish this right off the bat here. I don't like anything on this screen. I don't like CNN, I don't like the ADL, and I don't like Hasan Piker. It's basically 3 morons fighting, and we're just watching, right? But there's a lot going on here, and I think this is a really, really bad look for Twitch. Twitch is in big trouble. If you're not aware of this, for a month or two now, there was a major adpocalypse, meaning a lot of advertisers were leaving the platform. They're no longer running ads on Twitch, mainly due to the actions of the usual suspects on that platform.
Yeah, as
people
always.
reporting their ad revenue going down by 80 to 90%. And things have actually gotten worse over the past week or so. Some people are now reporting that they've went from making thousands of dollars in ad revenue per day to now dollars. I mean, like $5 to $10. Like,
I mean, you hear it all the time. I don't know how factual it is, so this just happens all the time. So then, I think it's true, But with just a few words, I just cannot. Until there isn't any real evidence, I just won't believe it. But I assume it's true, or I think that it's closer to the truth than to a lie. So, yeah, take it
Things
as you
are
want.
getting barren over at Twitch. There's pretty much no ads going around anymore. The site is really cooked, and they have no one to blame but themselves. In this situation, with what the head of the ADL here is saying, you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. It doesn't really matter in a sense because it happened. There's now national eyes and the Anti-Defamation League on Hasan Piker and Twitch. This is really bad for the platform, okay? This is the finding out stage. People have been warning against this. I don't know how it took so long to get to this sort of level, this escalation, but we're here because nobody tried to stop this. Hasan didn't try to stop his rhetoric. That is insane. And also, Twitch did nothing to police it. They made it very clear they've chosen a side, and it's his side, and he's one of the poster boys of the platform, and that's the way they want it. And when they're referring to these puff pieces, by the way, with the New York Times, this is what they were referring to. This was the original title of the article before the author was bullied into changing it.
It's just... I always have the freaking joke of Ethan in my head, where he shows this dude with a very big body, with a very small head from Beetlejuice. Wait, give me a second. Beetlejuice. I think I wrote it wrong, but hey. Beetlejuice. Small head guy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Instantly.
Aggressive mind in a MAGA body. That is the craziest self-own I've ever seen in my life. But they're talking about puff pieces like this alongside Twitch tolerating all of his behavior and platforming him. And that's what this guy is inferring is a possible motivation for what happened. Again, I'm not saying any of this. You can disagree with what he's saying, but the fact that this is a conversation is insane. It's absolutely insane. Now, again, I said I don't like the ADL. They probably got the most support they've ever gotten in a long time because they went after Hasan Piker here. But still, I have my qualms about them.
A good cause.
Because they have attacked gamers and tried to silence them in the past. And that's why I am a bit concerned that they refer to him as a gamer and not a political streamer or something like that. Because in the past, they've done some very out-of-pocket things with gamers, including labeling Pepe the Frog as a hate symbol. Officially designated as a hate symbol. They believe using Pepe the Frog, you know,
those were those. Oh,
on,
fuck, those guys are a joke.
Steam or in Twitch chats, they believe that is an alt-right anti-Semitic dog whistle. That's how insane this whole thing is. They clearly have it out for gamers and gaming culture. And now I worry they're trying to use Hasan Piker and his support of extremism and his rhetoric to basically blame it on gamers. Once again, instead of going after the alt-right, they're going after the far left.
Alt-right, far left, terrorist organizations. Have your pick. Why the fuck gamers? Okay.
And they're trying to compound the two under one label, gamers. Now, maybe that doesn't actually unfold like that, but I'm just pointing it out as something you should pay attention to.
Fair enough.
Hasan would respond just before I recorded this video. He quoted the tweet sharing the clip, and he said, Israel is an apartheid state doing a live-streamed genocide. I think it's wrong and dangerous to conflate these heinous actions with Jews. The Apartheid Defense League doesn't because they think they can improve Israel's standing by silencing its critics. It won't change the truth. Now, of course, not a single person is surprised that he didn't condemn the attacks in any sort of a way. But also in this, he's pretty much ignoring any claims about his rhetoric being dangerous. And he immediately makes this claim that if you are conflating this with Israel or Jews with Israel in this case, you're doing something wrong. That is very hypocritical. I don't think I've ever heard Hasan refer to a Jewish person as anything other than a Zionist. I mean,
Correct,
that's really
yep.
all he's done
True.
over and over again for years now. So it's pretty rich hearing from this guy who's been conflating the two or using Zionist as an overall label, trying to claim this and basically shift the blame, somehow making the people reporting on this the bad guys. But anyways, that was his response, and a lot of people are clowning on this, of course, but I'm surprised he didn't blame it on Asmongold. And I'm not even joking. Like, at this point, he has blamed pretty much everything that's ever happened to him on Asmongold. And over the past 2 weeks or so, included with the recent updates of the various events that's been going on with Hasan, he's been very angry at Asmongold. And this tweet in particular really got under his skin. You can see Dexerto sharing this list that shows the most searched terms on YouTube this year, and coming in at number 8 on the entire platform is the phrase Asmongold. Pretty much only beaten out by keywords like ASMR, Trump, Mr. Beast, music, etc. And guess who's not in the top 100? Hasan. Not the top 10, the top 100. He didn't get in, which is kind of odd for someone who,
nice,
at least at a time, wielded so much influence on Twitch. But I guess that doesn't really carry over as well as Asmongold has carried it over to YouTube. But he would quote that saying, "Right-wing commentary has devolved to further depths than you can even imagine. The face of the modern right is a Gamergate sweatlord who proudly doesn't shower and lives in his own rots. Incredibly easy grifts. It'll never not be funny that Ben Shapiro is losing to this." Well, you're also losing to it, like, clearly. Like, you've been dethroned as the top political streamer by a guy who doesn't even identify himself as a political streamer. But anyways, you can see, as per usual, there's no actual criticism. There's no real deep thought. It's just insults. Calling him a Gamergate sweatlord in that he doesn't shower and lives in rot. Very apt discussion here, but also, like, at the end of the day, this guy seems to be relating to more people than you. Isn't that kind of embarrassing to admit? But anyways, there was another very weird clip. This one's weird. Hasan is going after Asmongold, basically calling him a soy white supremacist. Also understand, the day before this, he said he's never slandered Asmongold, which is like the funniest thing ever. But he calls him a soy white.
I mean, is this even a question? Of course he lies. He lies constantly. He always lied and he always will lie. There is just, at this point, no redemption. For F's sake. His soul wouldn't even be good for a phylactery.
Supremacist, and says basically, why not just say the N-word at this point? This is the guy who's trying to be progressive, encouraging people to do this?
Black fatigue? Oh, yeah. Asmongold is entertaining the new meta of black fatigue, which is like, I'm sorry, the lamest fucking way to be a white supremacist. Just say it. Just say the N-word, dude. Like, that shit is so frustrating, where it's like, you're such a fucking pussy that on the one hand, you're like you just can't fucking openly be racist. You have to just be like, oh, I just have black fatigue. Like, what is this soy white supremacy? If you're gonna be a white supremacist, just be a fucking white supremacist. Like, what are we doing? Oh, it's emotional labor that I have to be around black people. Yeah.
And this comes from the guy that actually thinks that streaming is the most, was it the most stressful or way more stressful than a lot of other jobs, or one of the most stressful jobs on the world? No.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what the fuck black fatigue is, it's good that you don't know what it is, but it's like a new TikTok thing, okay? It's a new TikTok meta of just being racist, saying that you're fatigued by the ways in which black people fucking behave. That's what this is. Gonna get clipped so hard, man. Suck my dick! Shut the fuck up about clipping, please. Oh my God. Yes, I am talking about white supremacy, okay? Yes. In the process of me talking about white supremacy, white supremacist bad faith actors will clip me out of context to make it seem like I'm actually in favor of white supremacy while I'm in the process of complaining about it.
I mean, besides the fact that he's falsely labeling Asmongold as a white supremacist with no proof whatsoever, it's a very weird tactic for the supposed progressive here to want someone to use slurs. Like, Asmongold doesn't say that. You have no proof that he does, and I'm confused as to why he is so aggressive in trying to convince Asmongold to say words like that. It's very strange, but then again, are we surprised at all? But going back to everything that's occurring right here, he's a bit nervous. Okay, Hasan is a bit nervous about what's going on here because he live streamed right after he made his response to the CNN feature, and he's basically having to reel in his own audience, which is not surprising at all. He is trying to get them to stop Fed posting, to stop giving people basically some examples of his community being outrageous and saying crazy things about the recent shooting. They can't keep...
I think his community being this absolutely toxic is just... You have enough examples. They really don't need to produce any new ones. Any new ones are just... Yeah, as expected, what the fuck?
Keep it together. You can see the screen. These are people sharing stuff to him right here. And this is what he had to say.
I'm not going to use this, dude. Y'all are so stupid. Give me... Okay, guys, this is not like... This is not a time to be fucking...
Right.
It's not a time for you to say fun, wild, edgy things. Okay? There are probably 1,000 people in the chat currently documenting every single thing that you guys are saying in an effort to basically tie it back to me and this community and rob it of its context or anything like that, and to try to get me fucking deplatformed. Like, lock it in.
Yeah, they got to lock it in, which is funny to admit. Basically, you're saying that your community is doing these things that are going to make you look bad, and they have to lock it in to not get you into further trouble. And this all kind of circles back to the fact that he won't actively or loudly condemn what happened because he's so audience locked. He's audience captured. He can't condemn the shooting because he'll get eaten alive by his own audience. And he knows that. That's why he's not condemning it. It's very obvious that that's what's going on here. And he's trying to basically avoid doing that while also trying to calm down his audience a little bit and get them to not make him look bad, which good luck, because you cannot contain these people. They're unhinged, and there's too many of them to police at this point, so...
And it's irrelevant because there are already enough examples of it. What are we talking about? Does it really have to be the last week where they are so absolutely freaking toxic? Don't the few years before that even matter? What the fuck?
I don't even know why he's bothering with this, but that is the very wild situation. Hasan's looking pretty cooked. Twitch is looking very cooked right now, and we'll see what happens here. We'll see if this keeps going, but for now, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest here. The thing is, if they actually pull it through, if they actually punish him and Twitch, then it's fine. But right now, the longer this takes, the more Twitch and Hasan look invincible. This is one of the worst effing things that could have happened. Because I don't think that anything will happen to them. They will get a lot of shit, but after a while it just calms down and then it's done. And for this is a freaking... He supports organizations that just slaughter people. Why? Okay. As it is, acolytes. Good night.